What's up, man?
Oh, you sound real chipper.
Oh, I'm fired up right now.
You sound like you're running on fumes.
I feel like going out for a little jog.
No, you don't.
No. I've been on my feet since 7 a.m. doing video.
Oof, jeez,
7:30, I should say.
man, it's a long
Eh,
day.
long day for anybody, but especially for a guy without a job.
That's true, but you know what? You can consider it training.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. We must have talked about something like that before.
You'd always used to hate it when I would say, run for an hour and a half, easy. We're just looking for time on your feet.
Yeah.
Today, time on your feet.
Yeah, it was nearly a full Ironman on my feet. Just not quite as fast, but pretty
Yeah,
close.
that's good. Yeah, I just got done land blasting the daycare that Hayden's at.
Oh no.
Mm. You know me, man. I'm pretty chill. But
Yeah, they
yeah,
must.
I was when I picked him up today, I was let's just say I was very unhappy with the condition he was in when I picked him up.
Okay.
I
I
was I was so furious that instead of uh, getting frustrated there, I literally walked him out with his PJs, his clothes half buttoned, so I could get out of there because I was so frustrated.
oh
And
man.
I just got done sending an email to uh, the three head ladies. So we'll see what happens.
Uh okay, let's move it along from our personal state of
So
minds.
I'm fired up too. I'm ready to go.
All right.
I can carry the energy with my right now. So
Yeah.
I can lock and load. So we're gonna talk running today.
Yes, finally
Uh,
some running
yeah,
discussion.
we've had some requests, and this is gonna be kind of a um, how to not suck at running podcast, but it's more just kind of a part two uh, revealed of our original podcast we did about running slower to get fast. And if you're listening, and I'm sure a lot of you have already liked the Crushing Iron Facebook page or subscribed and get the emails, but I posted a blog article this morning that went through basically my past 45 to 90 days of run training. And I'm going to go over that with you and add a few other things in there too, and hopefully help people better understand kind of where I'm coming from and the percentages. And I think it's always good when it's better, it's easier to apply something when you can hear it and see it.
Yeah.
And so, if you're listening, um, right now, and listen to this podcast once, and then I would really recommend, liking the Crush and Iron Facebook page, subscribing to the email list, and then pulling up this blog and reading through it and looking at it while you listen to me just go through it, which is what I'm going to do today. And hopefully they'll kind of give you a better understanding. We'll show you some results, and you can apply that to your training and hopefully run faster.
Yeah, let's do it, buddy. I'm gonna kick
Yes.
back and listen to how you run.
Yeah, exactly. This is an easy cast for you to do. It's all me. So, I do want to touch. I originally had pinned this for a Leadville update, and I will give a real quick Leadville update before we get into the nuts and bolts of the data. But I've been really, really trying to run without looking at my watch lately,
Mm,
and I did a really good job last week. I did 2 runs where I just covered it up completely. Because I still want the data, but I don't want to obsess about it. And what I recognized was I'm addicted.
to looking at the watch.
Absolutely, unequivocally, it's totally compulsive. Um, and I would even look down sometimes and be like, "Damn it! Like, look at you! Like, you're not supposed to look at it, but it's so compulsive, and you do it so often that you just look down and look."
Let me ask you
And
this: do you think you could run without it?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
So what I've also been trying to do is, because I run on this trail pretty close to our house, where I pretty much know the landmarks and how long is what. So I could probably leave from my car and go run exactly 8 miles because
Okay.
I've run this trail so many times that I know like what the landmark looks like when my watch usually goes off to lap 1 mile. But what I've been trying to do is run for duration, and then try to guess it when I get back,
Okay.
which has been really difficult. Like go out and run for 45 minutes and don't look at anything, and then try to end up back close to 45 minutes.
All
So
right.
I got pretty close last week. I ended up at 48:50, and my guess was 49. So I was pretty close. But my one earlier in the week, I was just like 10 minutes off.
Really?
Oh God, I was so far off. But um, what I've kind of found out is that I am running so much faster without looking at my heart rate or my pace. Because I
Oh,
think
okay.
Yeah, because I think what happens is you convince yourself you either are or not something. Either you convince yourself you're faster than you really are, or you convince yourself that you're slower than you really are, and you kind of become what you see. And especially if you look at heart rate, if you do longer distance stuff, that you see a number and you think, oh, that you equate that high heart rate with, oh my God, I should be so out of breath, I can't handle this. So when I went out to do my 5K test, I thought to myself, you know what, my previous average pace was 6:46. And I was like, you know what, I think I can probably average like 6:20s, like mid 6:20s. And I was like, and I'd be happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, man, I wonder what I could do if I just no music, no, just did it blind. And would I be able to pace it better? Because I texted Allie and I was like, what do I, what should I do? Like this is some huge decision. But I was like, should I go no music? She was like, yes. And I was like, should I go like blind? And she was like, yes. I was like, damn it. Like what's your problem? Who crawled up your, britches today?
Yeah.
And
Man,
and
what a
so I was like, okay. And so I got layered up, and it was mid 20s, and ran and ended up running much faster than I thought I was capable of.
mhm.
So
Okay.
I think kind of the moral of that, as I was talking to a buddy earlier, is if I had have seen myself running under 6:20s, I would have slowed down
Uh,
because I would have thought, oh, I can't do that. I
yeah,
think I
okay.
can do mid 6:20s. So I would have governed myself. What I'm more kind of proud about is actually I paced it like almost perfect for a 5K. I did 6:11, 6:15, 6:16 was my pace. So I didn't start off like way fast and drop way down. It was pretty like even Steven.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was just like a really good representation of how I'm kind of gotten a lot more well in tuned um, with my body about what pace feels good. And then ultimately, if you're doing a race, it always helps to know where the finish line is. And so I've done some of these before where I just knew I had to run until 3.1 was over.
Right.
Well, I ran it this time on a course I was familiar with. So I knew that once I got to a certain landmark that I would have covered approximately, 2.5 to 3 miles. So what I think it really helped me ultimately was like kind of knowing where you're going to finish. Because I've run this before, and even with like my watch on, I didn't kind of know landmarks and stuff. So while I ran blind, I did kind of know like what my destination was going to be like
Mm-hmm.
from like a place. So that helped me gauge like, all right, I know I'm running too fast at this point because I know just from where I am on the trail, I still have probably a good mile and a half left. So while that I think really helped me bring it back, it was not looking at the data and the heart rate, because my first inclination would have been, um, you're running too fast, you can't do that.
Yeah, that's a
And
problem.
yeah, it is. And so I ran free, and my splits were even. Like I said, like 6:11, 6:15, 6:16, which makes me feel good about just kind of know where my body is. But Yeah, overall, really, really well. I took off a little over a minute and a half in 10 weeks um, for a 5K, which is a pretty large chunk uh, of time.
Yeah,
So
it seems like it right when you said that, and I'm sure it is. And um, I've never really done anything like that, so I'm kind of curious as to, is that like super atypical or
no,
if okay.
I mean, well, it really is all dependent like on where you are in your training, and
Mhm.
like I kind of gave myself a hard time and kind of not really diminished the accomplishment, but um, I was texting old Cece about it, and I was like, yeah, but then again, when I tested the first time, I had just come off, slow legs for Wisconsin,
Mhm.
running, and he was like, yeah, now you're just doing slow legs for an ultra, and I was like, oh, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's not really, not that much has changed. Um, but I think obviously I'm in better shape, and another big thing was my average heart rate was actually 174, which was 4 beats lower than it was my previous one, which is for me the best indicator, because a lot of people think that the higher your heart rate, the more fit you are, and that's just not the case.
No, I was gonna say
So
that's got to be the winner.
it is. It's the huge winner. And for me, I'm looking like the lower your heart rate, the faster you go is what you want to do. Like having a max heart rate that's so high, it doesn't mean you're super fit, it just means you're like super out of shape. Not super out of shape, but you need to go harder to do more.
Yeah.
And I've always like marveled. Like I think Andy Potts posted his like average heart rate for Chattanooga 70.3 like 2 years ago, and his average heart rate was like 140.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm pretty sure I get that way in the first 100 meters of the swim,
Mhm.
and it only goes north. So yeah, that was having that down 4 beats was huge, and it just again is that good blend of endurance run training and speed work. But and that's ultimately what I wanted to get into today.
Mhm.
Was going through, and if you don't have access or you don't even plan on having access to the article with I would just again recommend it because I have charts that kind of help it break down. But as we talked about before, breaking down your running into a lot of people call it 80-20 running. Matt Fitzgerald is a really popular author, run coach, who has this book called 80-20 running, and it's very, very much like we've talked about on our previous plan, our previous podcast. It's a lot of people call it polarized training. There's a million different things you can call it, but the fact of the matter is you want 80% of your training load to be easy, 20% of your training load to be hard. And as long as you can have that kind of distribution over time, now not necessarily over every single week, because there's great ways to manipulate that, because you could do 90-10 one week, 80-20 the next week, and then really go speed heavy the next week and go 70-30. But if you take that 3 week block together, you're still ending up with 80-20. And
Got
so
it.
it's how you,
Yeah.
it's how you manipulate those. And going into another thing off the bat is if you're going to start playing with this breakdown. And again, all it is minutes. Take the minutes you're going to do per week and find the percentages, and then structure your training like that. What I would recommend though is if you're just starting to do something like that is make your speed work like your tempo stuff, like your zone 3. Don't just try to jump in and do 20% threshold all out sprints, because you're going to break down. And that's not how mine was. Mine was broken down between like we'll say 80% recovery aerobic work, maybe 5% tempo work, 10% threshold, and then the other 5% was like all out anaerobic threshold, like lactate stuff. So you can
Mhm.
break that 20 down any way you want to, but always err on the side of zone 3 to start, to kind of get your body used to what you're about to do. Don't just jump into zone 5.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. That's when you get hurt, man.
that's when you get hurt. And so the first chart you'll see was just a little bit of my Leadville training, and how I slowly built up. It's our running peaks for the last 90 days, and you can kind of see where things started. a little bit before that January 11 week. And I slowly, a lot of people do like the three weeks on, 1 week off, and I'm a huge fan of that. But I'm also a fan of listening to your body. And for me, as you can see, yeah, as you can see, I was able to get four build weeks in. I built up 1, 2, 3, 4 long runs before I went down. And I don't recommend that just out of the gate. But if you think you can handle another week, if you swing in 3 4-week blocks, you're getting one more training block in instead of going 4 3-week ones. Because you're skipping a couple recovery weeks, and then you'll see a little drop off, and then you'll also see again a build back up for 3. And like I outlined in the blog, I did kind of piggyback those 2 long duration runs really, really close together, like in a 5-day span, which was what I would say, not recommended because I was super fatigued. But it was either get it done then or risk not even getting it done. And so, what I would suggest for people who are maybe thinking of doing something like that is always choose the route that's going to be the hilliest, because you might not go as far, you'll still get the duration, but you'll be doing so much more hill work that you can take it a little bit easier on your joints. You might not, and that's what I did for this one. Like, you might not see the mileage you want, but you'll still get the duration, get some climbing benefit, and be a little bit safer as far as pounding out another 18 miles just 4 days later, which is what I would have done. And then you'll see, a 4 days where I just took 4 days completely off of running, and then a recovery week, and then you'll see the green graph you see is peak speed by distance, and obviously you can see that where the last one I had in was the 5K, and now I'm back on a build week. But it's a lot of people will do the 3 week on, 1 week off. But again, listen to your body. If you, especially if you're an older athlete, and depending on what your training structure and distribution is like, I do often recommend people sometimes do like a 10 days, 10 or 11 days on, and then like 3 days of recovery. You can do that within 2 weeks, but it's because some people just can't handle 3 weeks of 21 days of building, and of hard stuff that the body just can't handle it. But if you do 10 or 11 days on, and then let them soak it up for 3 easy days, well, you put that back to back, and you still get the exact same thing.
Okay.
It's just how you break it down. Scrolling down, real quick, you can see, my time in the heart rate zones. Again, it's great to have the visual if you can have it. The 83% of my training was zone 1, zone 2. I mean, a huge chunk. And the difference you see, and we talked about this in our original podcast, Mike, is if you scroll back and forth between the heart rate zone graph and the speed zone graph, is you see my biggest chunk was in zone 3 of the speed stuff, of my heart rate, but the speed work was in zone 7. And obviously that's because I can start off running if I'm recovered, running at my lactate pace, but it takes a while for my heart rate to get up to where it's supposed to be, to catch up. That little lag. I can start off running a 620 mile, and it's not going to get my heart rate up into threshold until maybe a minute or 2 in. So if you keep those intervals short enough, you're gonna get that speed work in, but you're gonna be able to keep your heart rate down, and it's still into that zone 3 comfortable rate, so you're not like just blasting yourself out. You got any questions so far?
No, but I gotta get going.
You want me to wrap it up? Sure.
I'm sorry, man. We can maybe put an addendum on this thing tomorrow.
Well, I think I can kind of wrap it up pretty quick, actually.
Yeah, let's wrap it up, and we'll drop a surprise cast in as a bonus one of these days.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, this is one of our shorter podcasts, but the meat is there, and I think this is the best way of describing it, was kind of going through and giving you a chance to kind of see it. Where you listen to us all the time, but this is a great way to get a visual and hopefully apply it to what you're doing. It's always better to be safe and slow versus fast and on the couch. Yeah, or like I feel like I so cleverly said, too much fast doesn't beget fast. Fast begets you injured.
Yeah, it does. I agree.
Yeah, so go to Crushing Iron, either crushingiron.com or go to the Facebook and like us on Facebook. Read the article, and we will touch you again with another cast here shortly.
That sounds like a plan.
And until then, run slow.
Until then, run slow. I'm going to do that. I'm hoping to get in a run tomorrow.
Enjoy.
All right. All right, everybody. We'll catch you soon.
See you, Mike.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yep.